Hi, I'm Austin Eruption, professional shitbag, and this is my mother's That's the wrong intro. Yo, it's Austin, and today I want to tackle a viewer request. A while back, I did a video called Bad Anime Games where I talked about Sword Art Online Lost Song. And a lot of you didn't seem to like my dissenting negative opinion about Sword Art Online in general, so I wanted to tackle that.
Sword Art Online is extremely popular, I'm not gonna discount that. In fact, at one point in my life, I even enjoyed certain parts of SAO. It's hard not to be sucked into the whole what if VR MMOs were real concept, especially as someone who played a shit ton of MMOs growing up. We're thrown into this situation where everyone gets trapped inside with the good old die in the game, you die IRL cliche. Stakes are high and things seem to be going down the route of an ultra tense tragedy, which by the way, I love. A show or game won't hit me just right unless somebody gets fucked up. If you're anything like me, the concept alone of Sword Art Online sounds really appealing. You're presented with this vivid as hell world surrounded in dark mystery. Maybe we'll see people lose their minds and become insane. Maybe we'll grow super attached to characters and see them go through an immense amount of struggle in order to attain victory. Maybe people will die. Maybe we'll get really cool video games where we can make our own original characters and experience the world for ourselves, but hey, why would anything good happen?
Okay, I'm tired of trying to explain my disdain for the show moments after waking up on my cell phone every morning. So, look, a new game came out, Hollow Realization or whatever. We'll get to that, but first, let's dive straight into the sticky puddle that is known as Sword Art Online.
SAO starts out promising. While slightly generic, the first episode is quite beautiful to look at. Everything is colorful and feels a little surreal. We get this glimpse of the outside world and how drab it feels in comparison. We see little 14-year-old Kirito laying on his bed, immersed in this silly game and how cool his OC looks in game. Then boom, drama, cool. There's no blatant immediate fan servicey moments. This could be neat. As expected, half of the females in the world turn into dudes and all is right with the world. Episode 2 rolls around and you can feel the tension. There's an uneasiness when it comes to trusting other players. People seem upset at beta testers for taking advantage of systems they already knew. We're introduced to Asuna, who seems reserved. There's no blatant or any immediate fan servicey moments. On my rewatch, I found something I initially ignored but found really stupid. This guy, blue-haired man right here, might have been the catalyst of what I call really stupid people making extremely stupid and nonsensical decisions. Turns out he was a beta tester, and he takes a mortal wound. But instead of taking the potion that Kirito has readily available in his hand, he declines and decides to fucking die. What? He gives this explanation that essentially boils down to, they can't know I was a beta tester, it's for them, you know what I have to do, senpai. So let me get this straight. Rather than explain what you were doing based off this so-called book of beta tester information or owning up to your mistake, you just decide to die? Okay. Episode 3 is good. In fact, Episode 3 of Sword Art Online is what I wanted the show to be. Kirito learning how to be a fully functioning adult. We've already learned that he has a hard time getting along with people to the point where he seems to have a slight crippling social anxiety bundled together with trust issues. He doesn't want to group up with others or step too far out of his comfort zone. Episode 3, The Red-Nosed Reindeer, shows us a boy letting his guard down with caution in order to try and move past that. While I think this is explored really well in the anime, the light novel pushes it a step further. Kirito joins a guild after saving them in a dungeon, and over the course of 2 months develops a close relationship with one of its members, Sachi. He wants to do his best to protect them, more specifically her, and repeatedly promises her that they will survive the game. That, goes poorly. Desperate to bring her back, Kirito goes to fight a dangerous special event monster on his own, only to be reminded of what mortality truly is. And what do we see? Mourning, loss. We see a guy who let his guard down be hit with tragedy and curl back up into a ball. We see an extremely human reaction to a horrible event. There's no blatant immediate fan service. It's explored slightly more in the book and web series, but it's revealed that Kirito and Sachi had shared inventories. We see how much closer and intimate they are. The message Sachi leaves for Kirito has such a strong impact because we see how much they cared for one another. I'm a sucker for this kind of shit. It reminds me of shows like Kino's Journey, where we're able to see a little snippet in time of that character's life.
And that was Episode 3. Like, what could possibly come after this?
Girls! And all I really want is girls! And in the morning it's...
Please, stop.
Welcome to the Harem Show, where no one ever dies, Kirito gets married, but not really. They adopt an AI baby, and then everyone's stupid enough to keep playing these games even after saving everyone. Like seriously, Kirito just seems to tuxedo mask his way into saving people left and right. Despite snippets of backstory, it seems like the writer Reiki Kawahara decided to stop writing a tragedy. Like he got bored of trying to develop his characters and decided to make Kirito a full-on self-insert. No longer did he have a personality in the oven. I guess that died when Sachi did. That's not to say SAO doesn't have some cool-ass moments, though. I liked the concept of Kirito going out with Lisbeth, the blacksmith, in order to find mats for an item. I did that shit and I was like, okay, this is good. I thought the murder mystery arc was neat. It was really cool and realistic to see people get used to the world around them, or when characters like Agil decided to open up a shop instead of fight. But when you have this traumatic event happen to the main character, I expect more. Anything but this fan servicey nonsense. I expect for her death to have any impact on Kirito as a character, but no, she's never mentioned in the show again. Probably because they changed it in post. Good job. I won't even get into the cardinal system, Yui, Suguha, strong independent characters turning into literal damsels in distress, characters willingly diving back into VR MMOs over and over, the whole arranged marriage thing, Kirito being able to break game physics with his willpower, or why the show turned into an ecchi harem thing. I can't suspend my disbelief hard enough for Sachi, let alone all that nonsense. I don't really know much about SAO2 besides the fact that Sinon is a cutie and Kirito decides to be a girl, but hey, you wanna buy a figure?
Okay, that's out of the way. Are you satisfied? Maybe a little angrier? That's fine, because now we're gonna dive into the world of Sword Art Online video games. Now, I've already covered Lost Song, and I wasn't really favorable on it, but you guys have been telling me that the new one, Sword Art Online Hollow Realization, is the good one, so I went ahead and bit the bullet and decided to get it. After all, you know, the thought of being able to make my own character and enter this world is really appealing. I'm actually kind of excited.
See, look, I made my own pink-haired cutie. It's gonna be fun to find people to party up with and have my own adventure. Just kidding, it's fucking Kirito! Ah yes, the good old bait and switch. Not only do I get to wear Kirito's coat, but also project his deep voice through this clearly male body of mine. It seems like no one seems to notice that I look completely different, let alone that I have completely different anatomy. I thought we'd be able to, you know, play Sword Art Online as the game they made up in the show, but no, it's just another adventure for Kirito and his stupid friends. Except Lisbeth, she's too good for the show. I got stuck in the tutorial for so long. It keeps telling me to use an ability at the right moment in order to stun this tutorial monster, but when is the right fucking moment? I was stuck on the very first part of the tutorial for a solid 5 or 10 minutes and was just about to restart the game when whatever I did decided to finally work.
It's a good start. First they shoehorn us into playing as Kirito, and now we have to just sit and wait for all this dialogue to happen, and oh god, it just goes on. It doesn't stop.
The dialogue and story here is your standard video game adaptation nonsense. Once again, the cast of SAO decides to dive into VR MMOs again because they're a bunch of sick addicts. Like, yo, last time we were here, hundreds of us died, but it's fine. Surely nothing would happen this time. And I mean, that's fair reasoning, but that's not the case in the world of Sword Art Online. And in case you forgot, Hollow Realization gives you the opportunity to remember Sword Art Online, which to me sounds like attempting to remember a kidney stone. Who are all these characters? Who is Straya? Don't tell me they actually went for a continuity between all the video games too. We get a little bit of a text description for each character, but it's just information overload. You also get the opportunity to remember Alfheim Online, but they might as well have given us the option to remember the plot of the other two games, because if you're like me, you couldn't be asked. And they're all so sexed up too. Like, going back to the anime, most of the characters are extremely modestly dressed. Like, hey, this is actually armor. At least for the first batch of episodes, no one had the bullshit female armor, and it was refreshing. And like, sure, I like some anime titties as much as all of you, but what's going on with Leafa? Nice armor, asshole. What is the point of Sinon's little pube window? What's the point? You eventually meet the new central original character here, an NPC character called Premier. She's mysterious and seems to be stuck in a quest loop until our main man Kirito comes over and everything works itself out with his handsomeness. But they did a stupid early on. They make a big deal in this cinematic about Kirito not knowing her name and wanting to know more about her after doing her quest. Then, literally immediately after the cutscene, a tutorial text pops up revealing her name. Like, wow, way to ruin any suspense, guys.
Okay, I'll admit, I'm being a bit pedantic, but man, we haven't even scratched the surface yet. We're not even at the game part.
Nice! Now before you get all, oh, but this takes place in the beta of the relaunch of SAO, let me say something. No. I thought that Lost Song and Hollow Fragment felt pretty loose and glitchy, but man, Hollow Realization sure takes the cake. I guess by adding the ability to jump, they forgot how to program barriers too. Okay, so gameplay. Hollow Realization plays like a single player MMO, and there's some neat concepts here. You have the ability to send mail between your friends while in game. You'll find people you can party with out on the field fighting and also leveling up, doing quests, and living that MMO lifestyle. Any piece of equipment changes the way you look, so you can quickly get away from that Kirito look. Won't help the story at all, but it helps ease my mind. However, in designing a single-player MMO, for some reason the developers at Arcadea decided to bring in a lot of the worst parts about MMOs, such as the frequent backtracking, convoluted skill systems that don't really make sense, an insane amount of grinding, massive areas that all look the same, and a stupid amount of time required to get anything done. Some enemies who are essentially strong or boss mobs have a stupid spongy amount of health and take ages to bring down. Even when you're doing your best to keep up chains, it feels endless. Keep in mind that the AI here seems to just not do anything. They seem to literally be brain dead unless you give them direct commands. Like, here, I died. It's a good thing that you were all so helpful for that entire fight. I mean, I guess to be fair, it feels like I'm playing vanilla WoW again, what with people not getting the fuck out of the way. But it's not like getting a 50 DKP minus would even help here because no one gets loot drops besides Kirito. Turns out he's the only one who matters in this game. All of this on top of the fact that the game just feels incredibly clunky. Engaging with monsters just seems to kind of happen. Now, in direct comparison with the first localized game, Hollowed Fragment, it's certainly a slight improvement, probably because of the whole jump thing. Auto-attacking in that game is just kind of boring, so it's nice to have combos and realization. But what you can do is so limited. You only get to set a certain amount of attacks to buttons and combos you can pull off with the analog stick. So you're stuck with a certain moveset depending on which weapon you use. Which, by the way, some feel terrible. The scimitar was awful to control, but the greatsword was a smidgen better. I mean, a smidgen. I mean, you can pull up the big MMO action bars and navigate manually, but fuck that. So what this means is that you have to spend valuable hotkeys for attacks on things like attack the enemy or use your skills please. Basic AI functions that I feel should be there. And because this is Sword Art Online, a harem show, one of the functions is praise. Literal praising. The game wants you to praise your teammates, give them the good old Kirito seal of approval for, I don't know, listening? I mean, I don't think it's worth praising them personally considering they are kinda just useless, but guess what? That's how you change their equipment. That's right, you gotta interact with your teammates in order to make them like you so that you can equip better armor and weapons. They're unable to function on their own, I guess, but combat isn't the only way to do this. Because this game is also a dating simulator. Shocking, I know. You gotta like walk around with people and interact with them in order to increase your affection. By just nodding like the self-insert Kirito is, he can slowly make people love him, as well as slowly creep forward to them while not actually listening. Do this enough and you can equip them with new armor and weapons. Do it well enough and you can hold their hand. I mean, if you wanna call this hand holding. So basically, praise and creep on bitches and you can hold their hand and give them stuff. Except the male characters, because this is Kirito and this game doesn't want to let me have fun and hit on Agil. If you're gonna make me look like a hot pink-haired girl, let me hit on the boys, damn it. So what do you do from here? Well, creep on them hard enough by putting your hand on their waists and you can bridal carry them and look at some panties, as expected. Then of course, just take them to your bed and do this thing. Slowly move forward while nodding, not really listening, because let's be real, we all just want one thing. A static picture of a girl in her underwear, yes!
Look at all the blatant and immediate fan service.
I mean, I guess that implies you fuck 'em. Even though Kirito and Asuna get married in game and are actively in some sort of romantic relationship, I guess this is fine. Yep, let's just kill any character development on Kirito with the whole Sachi thing and the years of torment he's gone through and make him a harem boy. How? No, why did they do this to what potentially could have been a seriously good show? From extremely dark references and commentary about mortality and love to this? Why are you washing this girl for a quest? Nothing is safe either. You can creep on Premiere, the NPC. What are you doing, Kirito? I mean, I'm in control here, but why would you let me do this? Is nothing safe from Kirito's fuck eyes? Am I safe?
I'm at a loss for words. I mean, disregarding the completely dated gameplay, this just feels disrespectful. When you go back and look at what Sword Art Online could have initially been with that theming that it had, it feels like they just lost their way.
And if you notice, they keep only introducing main cast female characters as this shit goes on. Almost like it exists purely for merchandising and not for telling an engrossing story. You know, I'd say I'm being too harsh, but when they're trying to explain how Kirito and Asna's shit child Yui is learning to transfer herself between different video games, I just drop it. Then I'm presented with lines like, "Get off daddy, Straya, you're making him turn red," and Nope, no more. Sword Art Online Hollow Fragment isn't simply another entry into the SAO video game lineup. I think it might be the worst.
So in conclusion, this is why I think Sword Art Online and all of its games are terrible. While I have issues with stuff like .hack, at least the storytelling is more interesting than, you know, Kirito and his harem issues. But I'll talk about that another time. For now, do yourself a favor and don't buy this game. Save yourself the sanity, the money. Don't be like me. I bought this game.
Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, make sure to leave a like, a comment, and make sure to subscribe. This one was long overdue, but I hope y'all enjoyed it. Make sure to also follow me on all the social medias at Austin Eruption, and I'll catch y'all later. Sword Art Online sucks.